Hey yo, what's good YouTube? It is your boy Golden Boy with another zombie Eldlich deck profile. This time, I want to say that I've been able to crack the code as I have been undefeated at my locals for the past 7 weeks. This deck is straight gas and there is nothing I would change about it. So many new techs, so many new combos that I have been able to discover. And without further ado, let's get on to the profile. For starters, we have Triple Unit Zombie, bread and butter of the deck. Card is amazing. He sends, he discards, he enables 1.5 card combos, he enables Helky Fibrax plays. This card, there is nothing this card does not do. He basically does everything you need a card to do, on top of him being a tuner. I would never replace this card. Nobody ever will. He's always going to be at 3 no matter what zombie deck you are playing. Following him, 2 Banshee. Quick effect zombie rolled. Her protection effect does come up a good amount of times, catches people off guard. Very, very good card as well. We have the 1 Bloom. Card can be a brick at times, but he is needed to enable the full combo that this deck does run. And as much of a pain that the card is, I will say that there has been so many times where he just straight out wins me games by himself. With the Bloom, we have the King himself, a Doom King Baylordrock. As you do see, this is name shifted. Card looks beautiful, amazing. Negate, banish, revival every standby phase. Level 8, when Bronze Div 4 comes out, he can go into Bronze. Card is insane. Then, after Doom King, we have the Lord himself, Eldlich the Golden Lord. Cracked. There's not much to say about this card. Sends, boosts your zombies by 1,000 attack and defense and can be destroyed by card effect. 2,500 attack, 2,800 defense. Card is insane, obviously, since, he is a lord at the end of the day. So after the lord, I will say that this is something I do not see that many people play and or run, since I do not think that they have done the actual mathematical probability on this. But I am currently on 9 hand traps. So after the whole Unizombie plus Curse Outland combo does resolve, I am drawing 2 cards on my opponent's turn. And due to me drawing 2 cards, there is a 54.76% chance that I get to draw into any one of these. And if it wasn't for 9 hand traps, the probabilities are under 50%. But due to me having 9, it makes it basically where I'm almost guaranteed to see a hand trap every other game that I do resolve the full combo. And just due to that alone, I did try to find the most generic hand traps I possibly could, even though I do know Crossout is going to be a card in the game, but Ooze going to be main decking Meister. These cards I can understand. They are going to get Crossout in a lot, but they are still worth to play because it's not guaranteed that they're always going to have the Crossout. And I will say, for this new format, I really do think Skullmeister is going to be extremely underrated, since I was looking at decks that this card can hit. Everything from Virtual Roll to Phantom Knights to Dragon Link to Tri-Brigade. This card hits everything, I want to say. There's not a single matchup that I can think on the top of my head that's actually someone in the Tier 1 or Tier 2, besides Madolce, that this card cannot hit. Definitely will play this over Bell any given day, because unlike Bell, this card can actually negate Qinglong, which is extremely crucial in the Virtual World matchup. Following that, we have our Eldlich engine, Triple Sanguine, Triple Conquistador, Double Vaquero, and the 1-up Golden Land Forever. I will say that I think these ratios are perfect for this deck. As you will see, I have bumped this up to 2. I have no idea why I ever ran this at 1. That was extremely bad, and I think 2 is perfect. Going on forever, it's just a settable solemn judgment. There's not much more to say besides that. Card, you can side it out if you're not going first, if you know you're going to go second. But besides that, I would not touch this engine whatsoever, as I do think it is extremely perfect, especially when it comes to the ratios of this. Following that, we have the most broken card of all time, Imperial Order, because, obviously, paying 700 life points is the reason why this card is balanced. This card basically sticks to me. I will never upgrade this rarity or ever do anything without it, because I have some weird theory that Dusa First Edition Imperial Order is the best Imperial Order of all time. I draw this card way too much, whether it be on Dueling Book, whether it be in real life. It's actually insane the amount of times that I draw this card. Following that, we have the most broken trap card in the current format, Triple Strike. I know in the last profile I did say I want to bump this up to 3, which I did. Card wins you so many games. Such a good card in today's format, and it especially does help out with every single matchup that you do play. After the strikes, we have more of the Eldlich engine, Triple Outland, and 1 Black Awakening. This card is so good in this deck that it's not even funny. Curse Outland, I want to say this is the most important combo extender in the deck. The amount of value Curse Outland gives you is something that this deck needs. Uni plus Curse Outland is so much card advantage that if you are able to successfully resolve both cards and go into full combo, you are probably going to win the match more times than not. Such an underrated card in this deck that I do not see people utilizing that correctly as it should be utilized. Because even if you're not on the combo build and you are more on a control build, Uni plus Curse is still a complete full setup for your entire engine, and it is something people do not realize. Then we play the double zombie road, because obviously 2 Banshee, 2 zombie road I believe is a perfect ratio. After that, we play the most consistent card to have ever graced the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sorry, Pot of Greed. Pot of Prosperity. I've seen Liz play this at 2. I do not understand why you would ever play this card any less than 3. This card gives you an 11.88% chance to see your cards more consistently than without it. Card adds so much consistency to the deck. I can never see myself playing any less than 3. And at the end of the day, why do you want to hurt this deck's consistency? This deck already struggles at it as it does sometimes if you don't draw the ideal hand. And putting this down to 2 just does nothing. If anything, it makes the deck worse and it makes it less consistent. And excavating a pot over a pot isn't even that bad, because you still get 5 other cards you're going to excavate. So now on to the extra deck. I will say this entire deck is max rarity, and I will say that it is extremely beautiful. So for the first card, we have Lina. This card is insane. There's no other way to put it. Besides Vampire Sucker, I will say that she is the second most important card in this entire deck, and sometimes is the first most important card in this deck. The card enables OTKs, enables access code talker plays. She just does so much for such an underrated card. She's only a link 2. It's so easy to get into her. I've been able to take Mikabas, I've been able to take Lancias, I've been able to take Fairy Tale Lunas. This card is insane, and if you don't have this, go get one. The super rare is $1. For $1, she does so much more than what her price indicates. After Lina, we have the Noodle Man himself, Crystron Helki Fibrax. Card is amazing, obviously. He enables access code, he enables Ningirsu. Crystron Helki Fibrax just does so much for the deck, and when Bronze the Thor comes out, he's going to enable that too as well. Knowing when to utilize it either in the early game or in the late game is extremely crucial, since there are times where I really do miss seeing him later on, but at the same time, I feel like 2 is not needed. I think 1 is just perfect, and he's not going to go up to 2 anytime soon. After Noodle Man, we have Celine herself. Now, I know what you might be saying. How are you making Celine when you have Zombie Road up on the field? Like, this deck mostly revolves around zombies. How are you going to go into Celine? Well, the neat thing here is that Lina is a spellcaster, and Celine requires a spellcaster to go into her. What you want to do if you have Zombie Road up is, obviously you're going to have Lord up if this is up. So you want to link off the Lord into a Lina, then Lord effect from grave, get rid of the Zombie Road, summon it, and then you can link these off into the Celine. And from there, you already have one spell engraved, you know, and your opponent is obviously going to have spells in their graveyard as well. And, you know, obviously you also do play spells that are also going to end up in the graveyard. Especially if you got into her and if Lord's on the field, that means that you have gone through an Outland more times than not. So realistically speaking, you are only relying on your opponent to have 1 or 2 spells more times than not. This card's basically almost always guaranteed to be able to fully resolve, and if it doesn't, well, you know, Helki Fibrax and just summon out the Effect Veiler and just go into her. Card is not dead. This comes up so many times. Obviously, following Celine, we have to have the Mr. I Like to Miss the Megatons, Access Code Talker himself. This card is not needed for the deck whatsoever and is still fully functionable to play without code and the Celine engine. But I will say, there has been so many times that I know I could have won if I could have had Access Code Talker in my extra deck. If you were to look back at your replays with this deck and see how many times Celine and Access Code Talker come up, you will be amazed. I decided to bite the bullet and buy the card at its complete premium. Current price point is over 150 at the current moment, but I do not regret it, as I do think this card is so good in this deck that I just cannot see myself playing without it. I'm never going to replace him. He wins you games so much faster than you have with him, and he is definitely an investment I think that will pay off throughout time. Following Access Code Talker, we have Budget Access Code Talker and Ningirsu. This card is really good and really easy to go into. As I mentioned earlier, Unizombie is a 1.5 card combo to be able to go into either Access Code Talker or Ningirsu. Since you are playing 28 spells and traps, well, at least my build is, in total, obviously because, you know, Banshee is basically a pseudo spell card, you easily always have access into Helki Fibrax, and at the day, you just Helki Fibrax, summon the Veiler, and then go into a Link Karibo and just make a Ningirsu. I also have this in case I'm able to bait out a Dragoon and I don't want to waste an Access Code Talker. I can just go into Ningirsu. It's just overall very good generic spot removal, since I can just go into him rather than code if a monster can't be destroyed by card effects. Then after I use this effect, I can just summon anything else and then go into Access Code Talker. I really do believe this card is extremely underrated and is still so good, since this is basically always alive due to Link Karibo's graveyard effect that can just resummon themselves, and Lina, if the opponent does have a Light Link monster, can just reborn and go into Ningirsu. Following Ningirsu, we have Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. This card I originally only got for Sky Striker. Looking at it now, this card isn't needed since I do not go into him that much, but against certain trap matchups, this is amazing. Against Trap Eldlich, you bump him up to 4500, they scoop. They cannot out this card for the life of them. Many trap decks can't out a 4500 Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. Unless, you know, you have Maluseek, but that's a completely different story. I honestly think this card is easily cuttable, but at the same time, it is extremely good if you can afford this. I would not replace this, and he is an MVP at very many different times. But it also is something that shouldn't be the first thing you go into with this deck. After the BLS, we have the Link Spider. What can I say? He just links off your Golden Lamp traps. I tried him at 2 for a good amount of time, but I just got him to 1, since I am also playing Imduk. So the reasoning behind Imduk and a Link Spider rather than just 2 Link Spiders is Imduk has a damage calculation effect where it can just destroy the monster it does point to. Which does come up sometimes, but I realize, why play 2 Link Spiders if I can go into him and he does the same purpose as another Link Spider would, and the damage step destruction does come out a good amount of times. Since people do not like to play around the extra monster zone, following those 2, Obviously the Link Karibo, mostly for Glow Up Bloom, but Effect Veiler as well. Since I did say earlier, the whole Needle Fiber into Ningirsu and Link Karibo is required for that. We have the 2 Vampire Suckers. So the reasoning behind 2 is this is the combo build, and you need to link off into a Vampire Sucker turn 0, to be able to get that extra draw, and after that turn, she basically always dies. And it's frustrating since there's been so many times where I just need her in order to have her Lava Golem type effect where I can just tribute 2 of my opponent's zombie monsters. Obviously Zombie World is up during that time, but I always feel like I'm missing a second one. If I was in a control build, I would not play this, but I would highly advise that if you are on some type of combo build, or even on the rivalry build, to play 2 Suckers. The card is too good to not be able to see it after turn 0, and just due to her having such a weak attack, I felt that it was necessary to bump her up to 2 rather than only 1. Following the Sucker, we have the Avenged Savior. Damage calculation effect. He comes up a lot. He's able to send the Doom King card, has its purpose, and he fulfills it well. Also, I should say, with the 2 Vampire Suckers, when Bronze comes out, one of these is getting cut for the Bronze Zephyr. Following that, we have the Nightmare Cerberus. I was on Phoenix for the longest time ever, until I realized how much Phoenix never comes up. I think I only linked into the Phoenix once out of the, I can't even tell you how many duels I played. Phoenix just isn't worth it, since you have Lord to be able just to get rid of any problematic spell and trap card as well as Conk, that I really do feel that Cerberus is just generically better, since this can out Zeus, and it can just force stuff. You can force activations in order to negate this. Following the Cerberus, Gustav Max, because time is a thing. And we have the Formula Synchron. Obviously, we have Noodle tag out into the Formula Synchron. TG Wonder Magician also is a thing, but I prefer to value the +1 rather than a pop. Now, on to the side deck. So, starting off, we have Triple Nibiru. My bad, only one is ulti and the other 2 are secrets, but Nibiru, I see it being more of a side deck counter rather than a main deck one. And due to side deck reasoning, I should be siding in about 6 cards against every single matchup, and I really do think Nibiru is just better over on the side deck due to the decks at the current moment not really summoning enough times in order for Nibiru to be impactful. That and Crossout Designator is a thing in today's format, and I'd rather just play Meister over Nibiru for the time being. After the Nibs, we have the legend himself, Psycho Reader. I hate Drytron. Drytron is such a terrible matchup for this deck. I do believe Cycle does do more than Droll, since this can at least banish their cards. And against the Mirror match, this card is insane. Being able to Reader one of their Golden Lords, this card basically becomes a DD Crow when you're playing against the Mirror, which is why I decided to go with Psycho Reader rather than Droll, just because this has more implications for the Mirror match. After the Cycles, we have Gamma Seals. Dragoon Pass is the thing, and Dragoon is something this deck does have troubles outing, especially the way I play it, since I do not play Ice Dragon's Prison or Super Poly. I was on those cards, but I decided they're not always alive and or active, so I decided just to play Kaijus in the side deck. This will out with Dragoon if it becomes that big of an issue. Striker, this also just destroys Striker. Then we just play generic back row destruction, 2 twins, 1 duster. And for going first cards, to make sure we don't get blown out, triple Solemn Judgment. So, without further ado, that does condone the deck list. Don't forget to subscribe and like, as it does help me realize that the content you are watching is enjoyable. I will resume and start a new season of DB Road to 1K either with Zombie Eldlich again or Trapped Eldlich. I didn't finish it last season due to college starting back up again as I am in my final semester. I was busier than normal, but now that things have started to calm down, I will be back on the grind with that, so be on the lookout for that. And most importantly, there is a combo video on the horizon, as with the addition of Bronze Floor just gives this deck more combos that you need to know, as well as a more powerful skill set than there was before. I truly do believe that Bronze Floor is going to make this deck take up an extra 0.5 tier. So thank you again for watching, and I hope you enjoy.